and welcome to the Priggya Arora show where we discuss law for innovators. And we have a very, very special guest. He is a patent attorney from Singapore and his name is Mr. Martin Schweiger. Welcome, Martin, on the show.
Hello, Priggya. Great pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for being here and being my guest on the show. And we'll start with your life story and how did you become the
My life
person you are
story.
today?
My life story. My life story is very long. I'm 58 years old. I was born in Bavaria, which is in the very south of Germany. And I became a patent attorney at the age of 28. And before that, I studied mechanical engineering and control engineering. Like I was into robotics, among others. And then I opened my own patent agency in Munich and trademarks. And with the age of 40, now 20 years back, I opened the same in Singapore. And yeah, over time, it became such that I stay most of the time in Singapore. So I'm now, how long in the business? Over 30 years. Since 1992. That's 31 years. And I've seen a lot.
Wow, 31 years. That's a long, long time in this profession.
Yeah, maybe only half of what I can do.
So, Martin, you have a book
Priggya.
on 4 into 4 innovation strategy.
Yes.
And you also speak about 4 into 4 innovation strategy a
It's
lot.
this one here,
Yes,
man.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, how did you come up with this concept? And can you briefly explain us what is 4 into 4 innovation strategy?
So I started to write the book during lockdown in Singapore. That was in 2020 in summer. And I was thinking about why do startups fail and what could I do against that? And what I saw is in my long-standing experience that many startups fail because of the same reason. And the main reason being that technicians or technician mindsets would develop an idea to a product, and only once the product is ready, they would discover that nobody wants to pay money for that product. That was the basic insight. And then I was thinking, well, what could I do against them? And I said, so why don't you find out earlier, at a much earlier stage, whether the market wants your product? And at the same time, because you need to check what does the market want, you need to file protection, because you don't want to destroy the later IP protection because of your own disclosure when you show the product to the potential customers. And also, you want to start early with a freedom to operate, because I believe that freedom to operate is much more important than anything else, or probably not like market response testing, but very important.
Yeah.
Because many of the failed products go back to a lack of freedom to operate. Someone has a better patent. You are infringing, if you use your product, you're infringing some government regulations. If you have not registered your product, you simply have not checked the red tape. So, and then I put it together, and that was the first dimension. This is the why dimension, right? So, because you need to come up with an idea, then you do some R&D. Then the next one, the recommended one, is to do the freedom to operate, because before you go further, you want to know whether you're allowed to do what your idea is. And then the next one naturally would be IP protection, because in the next step, you do the market response testing. And then for doing so, you get public. So you need the IP in place in order to be able to show your invention around. So it's a very natural order.
Yeah.
And you do this. Now the X direction would be technology readiness level, or the product perfection, right? Because when you go from the idea to the final product, you go through at least 4 stages. The first stage is the idea. The second one would be the proof of concept, or the conceptual model. The next one would be the prototype, which is better than the conceptual model. And the final one would be the product. And you can do the technology readiness levels even in finer steps, like from 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. Yeah, you find more about that. That's quite important, because the technology readiness level is not necessarily the same as the time. I've seen inventors who take a decade to go from an idea to even a simple prototype.
Correct.
While it should be less than a year.
Yeah.
So that you can take benefits from the priority period for patents. That's where the matrix, and so then I put like a like a window that comes with segments in the window. And then I thought, how do you explain that to patent attorneys or to inventors? And I said, it's simply like a window cleaning. When you clean a window, you start in the upper, let's say, left corner. And then you don't clean from left to right, and then the next one. You go from up and down, then you go to the next column and next column and next column, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how I came up. So if you're a patent attorney and you talk with an inventor or a company, then you would ask them two things: where are you in the technology readiness level, right? And then they would say, what is the technology readiness level? And then you say, very simple. Keep a very simple one, the 4. Right? And okay, so what have you done so far? Have you done, apart from R&D, have you done some freedom to operate? And then they would look at, what? And say, freedom to operate. Can you do what you want to do? Does the government allow sales of that thing? And how do you know? Right? Because in Europe, you need a license for everything. Even if you sell a torchlight with a battery in it, you need to register the torchlight with the authorities so that they would know that you take care of the waste that the torchlight would be after it's discarded. So, yeah, and then the next one is, and now, did you do a market check, a market response testing? And then, why? Our product is not even ready. I said, bad mistake. If you do this, likelihood is high that you fail. So, and when they say, okay, what do we do? But when we show it around, everybody would know. Yeah, but you need to find out whether the market would accept your product. And then you need a little IP protection so that you can show it around. And that way you can guide them through the process of developing an idea into a product.
Correct.
So simple. And the 4x4 is so easy to remember, right? You don't need a whole theory for that.
Correct. So Martin beautifully explained. I think these are the steps of innovation journey, like idea, concept, prototype, product. And then other side, we have important factors like R&D, freedom to operate, IP protection, and technology development. Can you give us some examples, like if we are in the idea stage, what should be our strategy? If we are in a, say, for example, prototype state, what should be our strategy?
So now what?
Any example?
Idea or prototype?
Idea.
But I told you, number one, you need to do some R&D, which means you need to explain to others what is your idea. Can be a PowerPoint, can be a movie, a little video that you have recorded. You don't put too much effort into developing that. Just make sure that people can understand what your idea is, right? And then the next one, just ask you around you, can I do this? Where do you see problems from government or law or from whatever? Then you do some patent searches, right? But more from a FTO point of view, less from a prior art point of view. You just want to know who is there. Then you do internet searches, find out who does that same idea already. And if nobody does the idea, that can be quite dangerous, because there must be somebody who has done something similar. And if there's nothing outside, then maybe you're doing something that really nobody wants. And then after that, you file your IP, and then you do the market response study. Try to sell your idea to friends and family.
Yeah.
How much are you willing to pay for that? And then they say, I don't know, $100. I said, okay, if I promise to give you that product within a year from now, would you give me the $100 now?
Yeah.
And if they say, I'm not so sure, then you know already they are not really willing to buy that product. Yeah, that's one potential tactics that you could use in the idea phase. And what people also often not get is the difference between strategy and tactics or plans, right? Plans and how they are put to practice. And these are two different. See, my book, I willfully named it Strategy, because it's a strategy. Yeah. It will not help you to develop a product from the idea to the end, but it would give you a map or a chart where you can say, okay, I'm now here, and I should have done all this. And if you have not done all this, and maybe you have done half of it, but at least you have done something, and you know where the shortcomings are. So that's the difference. And it's a long-term plan of action. And its strategy is always designed to achieve a particular goal, right, or a set of goals. In our case, we want to build something that generates profit, and we want to do it fast, because and that's innovation. If you don't build a novel thing that generates profit, then it's a hobby. If you don't do it fast, then it's even more hobby than this. I don't know what it is then without being fast. But it's the definition of power. You have power is the work done in a certain time. So there's a fraction, right? And the work is the effort of the new product that produces profit and divided by time. So the higher the shorter the time and the higher the profit, the more powerful the innovation. And then tactics, they refer to the specific action or methods that you apply and to execute that strategy. And these steps are very specific. And what I can tell you after the idea phase, and there are 1,000 different tactics to achieve a successful product. But the successful ones have all in common that they touch the 4 areas: R&D, FTO, the IP protection, and the market response testing.
Absolutely.
And then, so that's that. Because it follows from there. Do you better start with the tactics or with the strategy? Because you asked that also, right? So what would you do? And the problem is, when you ask a technician, he would start with the tactics. Because he says, what use is a product that still has flaws? And that's exactly the wrong tactic that brings failure to the inventors.
And I think you have beautifully explained the steps in simple terms, because many of the people, they get confused on to what to do first, how to do first. But if the roadmap is clear, probably we can move step by step.
Yeah. Actually, there's a man in the US, his name is Stephen Key. Stephen Key, highly recommended. He has written a book, How to Sell Your Idea with or Without a Patent, and I love it.
Absolutely.
I highly recommend this book to every inventor out there. So Stephen really understood it, and this. Wait, did you interview Stephen before?
Yes. So I have interviewed Stephen before, and so we remain in touch and we speak.
Very cool. So if someone out there, please read Stephen's book. Highly recommended. It may even save your life.
Correct. His one of the initial book is One Simple Idea, and that is also a very good read.
Yes. But be careful. He's giving advice from a US perspective.
Correct.
And the US patent law is very different from the outside of the US patent law. So you need to be careful if you apply these principles in countries outside of the US.
So Martin, while this, I think the rest of the concepts are easy to understand, but one important concept is the freedom to operate search, and which we speak about a lot. And according to you, why is freedom to operate search is important, and how it is different from other searches, for example, the patentability search, and why should we focus on a freedom to operate search more?
Because very simple. A patentability search would only tell you whether you still get a patent for your invention or not.
Correct.
How important is that? Not important.
Maybe not.
Because you can sell your product even without the patent, correct?
Correct, absolutely.
So, but if you infringe someone else's patent, then, and this someone is a competitor, he may stop your business.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's so natural. You can live without a patent, but you cannot survive if you have to defend your product in court. So that's why FTO, freedom to operate, searches, and it's not only in the patent area, it's also for government regulations and others. So my book has a long chapter about freedom to operate. And I would suggest that you read this, because it's like a checklist. You can tick what area you have covered.
So I highly recommend everybody reading 4x4 innovation strategy.
And how much did you pay for downloading it?
So for all the guests, the book is free of cost. You can I'll put the link in the description box, and you can just download that book. So let's move ahead with So yeah, we spoke about the freedom to operate search, and now probably we also speak about how to check whether our startup would be commercially successful or not. Is there a way to check that firstly? Because this space is like uh, people say it's unpredictable which startup would work well or which startup will not. And according to you, what do you suggest, that is it predictable? If so, how we can predict it?
Yes, I would say number one is if they do the 4x4 matrix, right? Then I would say that the chances to survive are incredibly increased.
Hmm.
So yeah, I believe then if you apply, if you tick the boxes and you have better than 95% of all the other startups out there. That's the one. Number two, you need to team up with the right people, and the right people being a mix of, I would say, three personalities. Number one, you need somebody, an entrepreneur, who is a driver and he loves to sell and he loves to present, and he's 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 responsible for finding customers, and also he's responsible for finding new employees. These are the two most important responsibilities for this person. Then you need a technician nature, someone who loves to tinker with the idea and do R&D. And then also you need a manager, because the manager is the guy who makes sure that the technician gets his stuff done within time and with the right quality. And when I say with the right quality, you would be surprised. Technicians usually try to over deliver.
Yeah.
So the manager is not there to make sure that there's a minimum standard, but the manager is there to just to grab the device from the technician and to give it to the client, customer. Right? Because if you don't do this, then the technician will never finish his product.
Correct.
And the entrepreneur doesn't care, because all what he cares about is selling this stuff and doing the next thing.
Yeah.
So you need a very, I would say, sober guy who makes sure that the right product is delivered when the paying customer expects it. So these three natures should be there. And then, of course, you need to have some funding, because if you don't have funding, then you can't do anything. Right?
Correct.
And then the question is, where do you get your fundings from? And there are 5 different levels of fundings. You can get a bank loan, you can use your own savings, and you can get an investor, which is not very smart because that would dilute your shares. And I believe the smartest one is to do pre-sales. Find people who are willing to put money on the table upfront before you even deliver. People who believe in you. Right? So that's, and then the last one is government subsidies, and that's even a worse option, because that then you spend a lot of time for bureaucracy just in order to get it.
Yeah.
So, did that answer your question?
Absolutely, Martin. And we just spoke about funding. And the next question is just follow up on that. Like, there are a lot of businesses, especially in the startup phase, and they fear from implementing IP strategies. So, how can people with limited finances or limited funding start with IP plans? Because they eventually they have to have a roadmap and an IP strategy in place and start moving on that path. Maybe in terms of protecting IP, maybe not, with or without patents, but some strategy has to be in place. So, how can they afford that?
I mean, number one, many products out there are sold without IP in place.
Yeah.
Number two, when you do pre-sales, IP finances for IP should not be a problem.
Correct. Absolutely.
And then the question is, there's IP and then there's IP and IP. So why do you need a full-fledged patent application when a provisional patent application would also do the job?
Absolutely.
And there, so you can You can download a questionnaire, inventor's questionnaire from my website for free, the iplawyertools.com, and then you fill it out and you file that questionnaire as a provisional patent application, and that would give you already a priority to your ideas that you show, and that's a very simple one, because provisional patent applications, you can pay the filing fee, but there's no need to do so, because you have 1 year. Even if the provisional patent application is withdrawn, you can still claim its priority. So I would rather invest into a decent IP course and what to do, what is priority, claiming priority, than paying official fees for a provisional patent application. So that's one very straightforward tactics to secure your priority for your own inventions.
Yeah. And I think if we have drafted our provisional application well, and it has a lot of elements in it, because we can't miss elements in case we have to file the complete application. So if we are taking care of all the elements in the provisional application, then we are good to go
I think so, for at least for the
for 1 year.
first year, yeah, the first 12 months.
Yeah.
Yes.
And by that time, probably we can arrange for fundings, and then we can go for.
I believe yes, and again, right, the best is to do pre-sales, and
Yeah.
if even not your own mother would buy your product, something is wrong.
Absolutely. That's a very good statement. Okay, so I think we should move to our quick rapid fire round.
A rapid fire round. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay. So
Shoot.
three things you are grateful for.
Three. For today, every day, actually, I'm grateful for. That's very good. Then I'm very grateful for my faith in God. So that's something that helps a lot. And I believe these two are the two most important. And for actually, I live in a country, in Singapore, with great freedom. So I can do what I need to do, and that's really something I'm grateful for. Yeah.
Wow, awesome. Two traits that you think are useful for an innovator.
For an innovator, the first one is easy, right? Creativity. The second one is ability to say no. If you cannot say no, you will never ever be able to successfully pursue your inventions or innovation to a product. That's most of the people, they fail because they in the right time are not able to assert what they should be doing, because of they try to be so polite or so kind or so nice or so whatever, and that's a trait that you cannot train. Is impossible, because you're either born with it or not. Same as creativity, I believe. There's not much that you can do in order to improve your creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. One aspiration you have for the future.
Aspiration.
Yes.
Oh, I work until I'm age of 80. Yeah. And then after that, half day.
Wow, that's a good one. So,
Yeah.
so Martin, wonderful. Can you share some key takeaways for our audience?
Surely 4x4 matrix for the innovation. Yeah. And also, that doesn't tell you exactly how to put your innovation to success, but that would give you information whether or not with your tactics you're doing the right things. And then on top of that, you need tactics. And so go to my website, become a subscriber there. It's free. Download the book. We also have a LinkedIn group, the 4x4 Innovation Group. you should become a member there. And then every Thursday at 4 p.m. German time, changes summer and winter, right? But it's always 4 p.m. German time. We have a clubhouse meet, 4x4 innovation meet. And it's also announced in the LinkedIn group, the 4x4 Innovation LinkedIn group. So that's a takeaway. And the third takeaway would be, I would say, if you're not an innovator, an inventor, that's rather a blessing over being one. I believe being an inventor can be a very serious curse on your life. So be careful with what you do. Your innovation can destroy your own life.
Perfect. I think it gives thrill to start something, but then we have to be careful with whatever we are developing. It will leave some impact on the world.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, for our audience, the link of the book is in the description box. You can follow Martin, and I'll share his LinkedIn profile as well in the description. So,
Nice.
thank you, Martin, for giving me your
Thanks,
time.
Priggya. And bye.
Hey there, thank you for attending today's session. If you enjoyed the session, do follow our channel and consider sharing it with a friend. My name is Priggya Arora, daughter of inspiring parents, alumna of IIT Kharagpur, engineer turned lawyer and entrepreneur, and now founder of PA Legal, where we help creators and innovators protect their intellectual property. Thank you.